Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Everyday Green Home Podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Esser Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for you and our world. Welcome to the Green Gap Podcast. I'm Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, and with my trusty podcast in crime, whatever I call you,
Tony Pratte with the Sound Room.
So we are so excited to be here on the Green Gap to talk with you about green homes, green living, green communities, and how to make it work for you in your life, and how to put some of it to work for you, and why that matters.
You know, basically we like to talk about options that people can do to make their lives and maybe the world a better place.
You know, that is such a perfect segue, because today we're going to talk about something that just came out recently called the Living Standard, and it's from the U.S. Green Building Council. And what I love about it, it is about people.
It's about a dialogue.
It is. And so much we hear in the whole green and sustainability conversation, everybody gets hung up on the things and the numbers and the characteristics and the politics, and it really boils down to people. And that's what I care about. I am here to help people. You are here to help people. And with this Living Standard, and we'll put all the links in the show notes for you, is really a toolkit that is out there to help us have a better conversation about what we can do. And I had to laugh when I first read this because, Tony, you know this, it's since I've been Green Home Coach, that has been my mantra. It's about people.
Oh, absolutely.
What we can do. So I wanted to just kind of start this whole conversation off today with a reading from one of the introductions to the Living Standard Toolkit. And it is the what. Nearly everyone agrees environmental problems are important, but we aren't acting fast enough to solve them. And I can point you to so many articles that back that up. The why. People believe taking action on environmental problems is either inaccessible, unaffordable, or less urgent than other problems. Moreover, even if you take action, it is very difficult to feel the impact of the bigger problem.
You know, it's funny because let's just have a conversation with that. We talk about it all the time. We've mentioned it so many times on podcasts. You don't have to necessarily worry about the big problem. If you could make a small incremental change, imagine 1 billion people making small incremental changes. You know what that adds up to?
1 billion changes.
1 billion changes.
Yeah.
A big change. A lot of people have problems when they have this conversation of the environment because they are so consumed with the big picture. It's a big conversation.
It is
I
a
don't
big conversation.
understand it all.
Yeah.
We have to understand that everybody looks at something a little differently. Not everybody's ever going to agree on any conversation about anything. However, just because we don't agree doesn't mean that, you know what, making that small little change makes common sense. Why don't I do that?
Right. And if you'll remind me, I will share my top 3 things that each of us can do.
I'll do that.
For in our homes. I mean, there's a lot of other things you can do, but I have a top 3 for my home and that I share with everybody I speak to.
That sounds like a teaser for the third segment of this.
You got to hang around to hear my top 3. The other thing I think that this really brings about is that we do get overwhelmed, and having the option to know that what we do matters, even if we don't see it move the needle on a bigger scale, we know that it moves the needle on a smaller scale. And that's why I got into this, because I wanted to help people know there was something they could do. I wanted to help people live better lives. I wanted to help us all know that we can be part of the solution. And that's something I was so exciting to read the Living Standard and see so many of the ideas that the group that I've known in green and sustainability for years has really put out there, and to see it on that bigger audience, that bigger stage to the bigger audience was really cool. I'm like, and it makes so much sense because it is about people. It's the golden rule, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of that is, I don't know if you know this, but a couple of months ago, the Missouri Gateway chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council asked me to be on their advocacy committee.
Cool.
And the first meeting that I was at, they kind of rolled this out and were talking about it. And you've been to plenty of USGBC events and programs. And one thing about it is they do a really good job of speaking, especially to the commercial world, the commercial construction world, architects,
yes,
builders, interior designers.
And we speak gibberish green speak.
We do. However, we don't need to discuss this among ourselves anymore because, especially in the commercial space, this is what we do. This is standard for us.
And this is why this is put out. This is exactly why.
To start to change the conversation away from the more scientific, the more gibberish builder speak that we all have, and put it into the conversation of the carpet.
Yeah. And we're hearing it. I'm hearing it. I'm in Oklahoma where the whole conversation has not elevated to the degree it has like on the coasts. I mean, St. Louis is kind of in between. However, we have transplants that are coming in Oklahoma City from Portland, Oregon, and they're going, where is this? Why aren't we doing this? And they're bringing new ideas and new conversations in. It's back to the story that I think I've told before, that when I had a conversation with a gentleman who was at the head of an oil and gas company, and he heard that I'm a green home coach. He goes, well, you don't want to talk to me. And I said, why not? He said, well, I'm in oil and gas. And I said, okay. I said, do you live somewhere?
A lot of green homes use gas.
Well, and he lives somewhere. I'm like, and he started describing where he lived to me. And I'm like, sounds like you already are doing quite a few green practices in your home and it's built in. And he looked at me and he kind of went, never thought of it that way. So I think we all get stuck in this mindset that, oh, I belong to this group, so I can't do this. And we see this in our larger country, many of the conversations that are happening in our country right now on many topics, not just sustainability, climate change, green, and how we can impact it. It's all part of that same larger conversation.
It's not a this versus that.
No.
It's not a confrontational discussion. It doesn't have to be.
And it shouldn't be.
But people make it that way, and usually because, once again, it gets into politics. Our goal in this podcast has always been to get the politics out of this and have real conversation.
Which is a perfect segue into the how. So this was the third point that was brought up in this article. The how is that we need to speak to more people outside of our community using inclusive language and powerful images to make everyone feel they have the ability to take action in their day-to-day to create a more sustainable environment. And I'm going to add, for all of us. And that is, to me, is the embodiment of the golden rule. And we all have an opportunity to do better. And that's what this whole living standard was about. So what the U.S. Green Building Council has actually done is put this into a format so that all of us that do understand the science and the technicalities behind this can have a just sit down over coffee kind of a conversation, which, by the way, is why this podcast was founded
3+ years ago.
But now to be able to take this conversation to even more people, and from the people that understand the hows and the whys that go in behind it, but to also have the people side of that conversation. I think that's really needed.
The more people can actually sit down and have a conversation, and let's face facts. I don't remember a time where it was so hard just to have a regular conversation with people about hard to discuss topics.
We have forgotten how to agree to disagree.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Anybody that's listened to every one of the episodes of this podcast knows you and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but we agree with a whole lot more things than we than we disagree on.
And we want to put it out there to get you thinking.
Yeah, you have to, because this is all about choice. Do you choose to do something, take a small incremental step that's going to make a bigger impact later on?
Yeah. So with that being said, hang tight. We're going to come right back and we're going to talk about how you can apply the living standard in your day-to-day conversation around your homes and how you live in them.
Hey, this is Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, and I am the author of Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices for a Better Home. And in this book, besides talking about a bunch of stuff about green and sustainability products and practices you can easily take in your home. Also talk about home maintenance and how important this is to having a home that serves you rather than you serving it. Seasonal home maintenance checklists are a big part of this, and I teamed up with colleague Tina Gleisner from Home Tips for Women to use her maintenance checklist, actually included in the book, starting on page 96. And if you have the book, look them up. But I wanted to give you a brief excerpt from the book to get you excited about why home maintenance checklists, I know that doesn't sound very exciting, but why they are so important. So, maintaining a home is actually a 3-part ongoing process: inspect, maintain, and update. To help you keep track of what you've done and plan to do, make notes on the checklist. First, inspect. If you've only got an hour to spare, pick one exterior side of the house or one room inside to inspect. Note the date you did this on the checklist and flag items needing maintenance or repairs so you can schedule time or make a list for your handyman or handywoman. Second, maintain. Keep your home safe, such as smoke detector batteries. Keep your home energy efficient, like furnace air filters, and prolong the useful life of many home features, like caulking bathroom tile. Write it down when you complete a task, keeps you from guessing later on. And third, update. Take advantage of improved materials and fixtures. Upgrade to new building codes and evaluate when it makes more sense to make an improvement rather than repair, such as replacing a bathroom floor rather than repairing the grout. Check out the book or give me a holler and I'll hook you up online to get the maintenance checklist for yourself. If you'd like to have the entire book, please go to livinggreenbook.com for a multitude of ways to purchase it for yourself. Thanks again. This is Marla, the Green Home Coach.
From the Living Standard messaging, I want to share with you just kind of an overview of what this all means and how it can be communicated. So pardon me for reading for a moment. Our families deserve to inherit a safe, healthy environment. However, more extreme weather events, fires, droughts, hurricanes, and an increasing exposure to contaminated water, polluted air, and increased toxin threaten our lives and our children's lives. Where we live, work, and play should not hurt us, but protect and enrich our lives in a sustainable way. This should not be a luxury or a privilege, but a standard everyone can enjoy and expect. Green buildings and green communities allow you to live more sustainably in ways you can tangibly experience. Your health, the air you breathe, the water you drink. They offer a better quality of life for all, while also generating a lower global carbon footprint, reducing each family's electricity and water bills, and creating new green jobs. That's hard to argue with.
It is.
The how we get there is where we all get caught up on ourselves.
That's a different discussion.
Right.
I don't think anybody, when we talk to people about sustainability, the philosophies behind it, I don't think anybody in their right minds, when you say, if you could do something that's better for the environment, would tell you no.
Right.
It's the pathway, the roadmap of how to get there. That's where we all have different, I don't want to say issues, but different opinions about it.
Which is, again, why we want to come back and leave, and we're going to, but you're going to have to listen to the end. We're going to leave you with some actions you can take, because it's all about action. And I think a lot of us are very frustrated that there's a lot of talk going on right now, and not necessarily a lot of action, and not just in green sustainability, climate change, environment, but everything. And, taking action is how we move things forward. So we're going to leave you with that today.
Well, you say it's about action, and I also say it's about choice. Because some people choose not to act.
It isn't choosing an action. Sorry, I could go in circles with you there. Okay, I'm not going to take you down that rabbit hole. So when we were prepping for this podcast, one of the things you brought up that I thought was just really, really insightful is in the built environment, there's some unique challenges going on right now that are impacting people's ability to, or they think it's impacting their ability to take action. And the building environment, especially in home building right now, is experiencing some painful realities.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. If all we were talking about is, instead of using this HVAC system, I want you to use that HVAC system. This would be an easy conversation. However, when it comes to building a house, we're getting hit, that is the residential construction industry as a whole, are seeing a lot of different issues all coming to a head at once. First and foremost is issues with land, land development. And when it used to take a builder 6 months to buy a tract of land, turn dirt, get it permitted and start building houses in a subdivision, that 6 months is now 3 years.
That's a lot of years to take money.
It increases costs. There's more hoops to jump through. Now, I'm not saying these are all bad hoops or good hoops.
Right, but it's a different environment.
It's a reality.
It's a different environment than they're used to.
It's the reality of it. Then we have the labor issue. Over the last 10 years, the construction industry has basically suffered the loss of a generation of workers.
Yeah.
We no longer have the young workers coming in. I don't know what it's like around the rest of the country, but I know in St. Louis, the average age of a carpenter is almost 50-something years old.
That's a national figure.
That's
an average of a plumber is in late 50s, carpentry, masons. We are graying out our skilled trades.
And here's the problem. While we're talking about it being an issue now, imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years.
Hopefully we pump enough people into the industry to start bringing it up.
We hope.
I know.
But it still takes time to train them.
I know. And this is a national priority with the National Association of Home Builders.
It has to be.
And, this is exactly why we just produced Build My Future events in Oklahoma City that we templated off of the one in Springfield and Tulsa. I think it's in 20 different communities now. This is exactly why these are so critical right now. We have to change how the trades and building is seen and get people into the industry. And it's a lucrative career.
Well, and we already have land. The costs are increasing.
Right.
Labor, costs are going up.
They have to when there's a shortage.
Yep. There is no way around it.
Yeah.
Then we come into the product, the different products that are coming in through the sustainable, the certified products, the different types of products being used for the
everything.
Yeah, the certified houses. Some of them, yes, they might cost more upfront, but they have a benefit later on.
Or maybe they save labor costs or something else.
Maybe they save labor costs, but here's what some of them are. Yes, I'm going to use framing.
Okay.
We had a code that we dealt with. They wanted to change from 2x4 to 2x6 studs. So the end result would have been lower energy costs. However, the upfront cost was increased with material.
Lumber costs have been crazy.
Oh, but that wasn't the big one.
Oh, really?
Labor.
Okay.
Because a carpenter could carry X amount of 2x4s upstairs to the second floor. You know how many they could carry of 2x6s? Because of the increased weight.
Interesting.
Nobody thought about that.
And unintended consequences.
Unintended consequences. The first rule of any environmental discussion is always, what is the law of unintended consequences?
True.
That's the first thing I learned at Harvard.
And so we have an environment right now in the home building industry where everybody is just doing everything they can to keep their heads above water.
Oh, absolutely.
So to think, and we realize there's so many variables in the home building process already. And, you've got variable weather, variable land, variable materials, variable labor, variable costs, variable clients. And then, so what I think I hear you saying is that for many of these companies to take the time to even evaluate new processes and new materials is a big risk.
So with any equation,
is that what I'm hearing?
That's exactly what you're hearing.
Just
with any equation, there always has to be a constant somewhere.
And we have fewer constants.
If there's no constant anywhere, then that thing's all over the map.
Interesting.
When it comes to the reality that we're seeing on the job site, and I'm not talking about the true custom builder that builds 1 or 2 houses a year. Hey, he can do whatever he wants, but that's not going to really move the needle industry-wise.
Right. So we have a community issue as well, really. Mm-hmm. And because it's impacting jobs and materials and housing and economic development, this issue and sustainability is a big part of that, because sustainability says that we can take what we're doing into the future. So it's not just our built environment, it's our jobs, it's everything around us. So this is not just an environmental conversation. And I think that's a big part of what Living Standard is also bringing to the forefront, is that this is a big conversation that wraps around a lot, if not pretty much all of our communities and the people inside it and how this all works, the engine that carries us forward.
Well, I want you to think of it this way. There are things, especially in the construction side, that we rely on to either live in the house that we just built or get to the house while it's being built, that is in reality is 19th century technology.
Yeah.
But it's reality.
It is reality. And there's been a lot of effort to help builders move these things forward. Yet we're doing that while we're basically swimming upstream.
Oh, but these are not even things that builders can control.
Right.
19th century technology, electricity to power the house.
Yeah.
The automobile to get the workers to the house.
Interesting. So while this all needs to come and be part of the conversation, we kind of have to keep our eye on the ball and figure out ways to have this conversation in such a way that we can move forward.
You know, when I first went and started my environmental studies, the first thing I told people when they asked me why I was doing it is because while I don't necessarily believe everything the political side of it says, there always has to be a better way to use our resources going into the 21st century.
Yep. So hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to talk about some solutions and actions that you can take.
5 myths of green homes. Are 5 things that you probably believe about green homes that may be costing you thousands of dollars. Which myth do you hear the most? Get your copy of 5 Myths at greenhomecoach.com and click on the button for 5 Myths of Green Homes. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Green Home Coach and let me know the green home myth you hear the most. I'll also share tips, products, and resources. Be sure to download your copy of 5 Myths of Green Homes now, and then check back to learn more.
So gabbing today about the living standard and how we have meaningful conversations about sustainability in our day-to-day lives. And the built environment is such a huge piece of that. And I think so many people I talk to, a couple of things. Number one, many people don't understand the impact of the choices they make.
No, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
And the other thing I hear from so many people is, well, nothing I'm going to do matters, so why bother?
You know what? I remember having a conversation with somebody along the same similar lines. And, you know, that person was more concerned about, well, you know what, I'm just going to do this and who cares about the rest of the people? Well, okay. And I was thrown the line of, well, you know, it's like homeostasis with the body, right? Sometimes we just have to trim it away. It's like, yeah, that's the wrong conversation.
So this statement that's in some of the Living Standard information really hits right there. It says every little action, from recycling to conserving water and electricity to choosing to live and work in green building, helps everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't just help us, it helps everyone. That's a concept that I don't think is real prevalent right now. So these small steps spark a larger discussion about air ventilation, toxin-free building materials, or energy conservation. And those larger discussions lead to the giant leaps where intention becomes action.
Well, we talked about this in
We've talked about it for ages.
Because you make the conscious decision to, let's say, build a green building, a green commercial building. You know, you're going to put your business there. Yep. Well, great. You did well for your workers. Now your workers understand the benefit of it. Maybe somebody inside that company goes home and makes some choice. However, the building next door, maybe they talk to you. You know what? We're going to build another building. Oh, you're doing this. You're doing that. Maybe their building becomes a green building.
Because
eventually,
of that conversation. Yeah.
When 51% of buildings are green and 49% aren't, well, we talked about how a lot of manufacturers don't like to have 2 lines, right?
Same thing with buildings.
Absolutely. I want to build one way because it's just easier for everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables with building materials. So one way is, anyway, I get what you're saying. And we're seeing a lot more of the commercial and industrial buildings build green.
It's almost pretty much a standard now.
Multifamily, same thing, because they're kind of a crossbreed between commercial and residential. We're not seeing individual residential enough yet. And so the good news we're here to tell you today, folks, is that you too can make pretty easy choices in your home that are going to help. And some of them, I don't know, he's cueing me for my top 3, but not yet. I'm getting bait in the hook today. Your utility companies are sharing ways to improve the energy efficiency in your home or conserve energy or conserve water. There's simple things that you can do. Even simple things like pulling the drapes on a sunny day can help. Running ceiling fans, there's kinds of really small actions. You just have to be intentional about them and actually do that action. So there's tons of resources out there. Go back to any of our podcasts and there's tips all over the place. What I think, we're back to this thing that so many people think it's not going to matter. So everyone understanding that every little step that he or she or they or us take matters. And if you can help somebody else to see how that can matter for them and for all of us, then you are moving it forward.
And it doesn't have to be something that you have to buy in on the whole story.
Right.
You just have to sit there and say, you know what? It's a lot easier for me to recycle this than to throw it away.
Or better yet, don't buy it in the first place.
Well, if you have to buy something, that leads into
borrow. And there's a lot of
that leads into large conversations about, the economy and everything else of, you know what? If I don't want to absorb the cost, I just don't buy it.
Right. Okay. A couple of things that we want to get done before we run out of time. We told you there would be solutions, that we would give you places to go for solutions. And education is a huge part of this that we feel is part of this solution. So in addition to the Living Standard information that we're going to share with you, there's information in the green home certifications. There's information and education on many, many places. The Energy Star website is just a treasure trove of information, as well as the Water Sense for water efficiency and conservation. So taking the time, pick one topic and learn a little bit more, and that's going to give you hopefully an interest in learning more and doing more.
And I would say the first one, something that already interests you.
Absolutely, or something that's of value to you. Mm-hmm. So if you align, that's such a good, you did it again, segued in, such a good alignment, because if there's something that's a personal interest to you. So for instance, in my household, it was breathing, because I have a son that had asthma and my daughter had chemical sensitivities and I have chemical sensitivities. So getting all that extra chemical fragrances in particular are a big no-no with me because I'm too sensitive to them. So getting those out of our home was really, really important to me. So that was what I started with.
Right.
And the health aspect of that was really important to me. There's toolkits online that, in addition to the Living Standard toolkit, so the National Association of Home Builders offers a sustainability and green building toolkit, not just for homeowners, but for home builder associations and for home builders themselves have the tools to implement some of these practices and learn why they're important. So that kind of education is definitely out there.
All it takes is a little motivation, a little wanting to maybe make that first step.
Yeah.
And then there's plenty of resources.
When we talked about cooperative competition, where people can act together, that's a great possibility for here, and learning from each other. And I know the home builder associations in particular, almost everywhere I've been, there may be two builders sitting in the room who are competitors, but they're helping each other to learn.
Well, they've learned that, yes, we're selling houses against each other. However, we have to have a united front to fight whatever battle we're trying to fight.
Rising tides raise all boats.
There's some truth to that.
Thank you, Matt Belcher. Okay, so I promise top 3. These are my top 3 actions that each and every one of us can take. And I'm going to give them to you, and I'm going to tell you why they're important to me and why I think you might want to do them. Fair enough?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, number 1, LED light bulbs.
Oh, yeah. That's easy.
If you still have the old-fashioned incandescent light bulbs in your home, in your building, in your life, take them out and throw them away right now and replace them with an LED. Because even if they still work, they're costing you so much in electricity.
Okay, I have to interject here.
Uh-oh, he's got his finger up, too.
No.
He's got an important butt.
Well, this is true, especially if you have any kind of a automation system or lighting control system with LED light bulbs. Talk to your integrator.
Yep.
Here's why. Just any LED light bulb you might buy online won't always work. I have this issue with Kim Hibbs. His system was flickering a little bit.
Okay.
And the first thing I told him was, is it on a controlled dimmer switch? He goes, yes. I go, that's why. There's not enough voltage in the switch to kickstart it and get it lit up. So make sure you reach out to your own integrator, tell them that you want to get LED switches, and they'll have a list. We have a couple that we recommend, but talk to your actual individual integrators.
And even if it's just one light that you use the most, it's worth replacing with LED. It will start saving you money right away, better quality light, and we don't have to throw as much stuff away because they last so long. So there you got the whole whys. Number 2. Green cleaning products.
That's a good one.
You can buy these in any big box store, online.
You can buy them anywhere.
You can buy them in direct marketing. There's a ton. You can DIY, make your own stuff. Lemon, vinegar, and baking soda are amazing cleaning products. But getting the chemicals out of your home, the greatest place to start is with your cleaning products. So there's some new cleaning product lines out there that are 2 cleaners for everything. So it's super simple, and I'm all in on simple. And so there's green cleaning products, are going to get the nasty stuff out of your home. They're going to protect the health of you, your family, the people in your home. And oh, by the way, if your toddler happens to drink one of them accidentally, it's not going to hurt them. For most of them, read the labels though, folks. There's different grades of ingredients in different green cleaning products. So, but there's definitely some out there that are safe enough to drink, and I've watched them do it. So that's
I don't think I'd want to be that tester.
Yeah, no. Number 3, this one might make you chuckle. Buy recycled toilet paper. Oh, and use it too.
No, we've talked about that before. It's not the toilet paper. It's coming from recycled paper.
And why is this important?
Because it's already been used. You're not cutting down a new tree to make it.
We're not
Number
cutting
one.
down the forest. So.
You're basically saying the tree's already been cut down. This is really the end use of its life.
I was shocked. I always kind of assumed that paper and toilet paper in particular were made from the trimmings of the trees.
No, it's a pulp.
But they're made from the big solid trunks. I'm like, why aren't we using that for hardwoods and buildings and all these other things that we need wood for instead of toilet paper and paper towels? So number one, toilet paper is a hard one to replace with something reusable, at least in our society here in the United States. And there's great recycled toilet paper products out there. And it is something that is so meaningful because by protecting our forests, we're protecting our flora, our fauna. Our forests are the lungs of the earth. So we're protecting so many things by making decisions that help to preserve our forests. So there you got it, folks. My top 3 actions. You can take each and every one of those 3 for pennies, if maybe no extra cost. Matter of fact, one of them will save you money. Tons of ideas on other things you can do. A lot of times taking green actions will save you money, save you effort. I like simple.
Shouldn't we talk about LEDs and check your local utility? They might have rebates.
They might have rebates. That's a really good point. And a lot of times you can buy them through the program. So yeah, check your local utility and see what you can find out. Many, many ways you can take actions. Pick 3. That's all you got to do.
Sounds about right.
So enjoy your opportunity to take some action, your opportunity to make a difference. And just remember, every little bit counts. So we are going to sign out on the Green Gab. Remember to subscribe to the Green Gab podcast on your favorite podcast app. And please leave us a review and your thoughts and feedback. We so appreciate it, and it helps to get this podcast out to more people. Have a great green day.
That wraps this episode of the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Ready to use what you learned? Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening and for leaving a review. And remember that living a little better and greener is easier than you think.